One of the CEOs of Reddit actually had eye surgery in 2015, but not because he actually needed it, but because he thought that in a disaster it would be too inconvenient and troublesome to be having contacts or glasses.
This is just one of the super extra ways in which rich people are preparing for the apocalypse. People who take hours out of their day in order to prep for the end are called survivalists or preppers. In the 1970s to the 90s, being a survivalist was more common amongst right-wing extremists, but now it's the super filthy rich who are really into it regardless of their opinion on politics. Preppers have these really intense online communities and you can go and snoop through them and learn lots of interesting information, like you should bring condoms if the world is ending because they're great at starting fires and they can hold large amounts of water.
Antonio Garcia Martinez, a Facebook product manager, actually bought 5 acres of wooded area on an island. He's got generators, solar panels, and tons of ammunition, and he actually bought his property on a large island in the hopes that when the end comes, they can actually build a community together.
Tim Chang, a managing director at Mayfield Fund in Silicon Valley, always makes sure he has bags packed for his wife and children. And Marvin Liao, who is a former Yahoo executive, has now taken up archery lessons just in case he needs them when democracy falls. It seems as though these super rich people in Silicon Valley are pretty scared. And the consensus is that when AI takes the jobs away from millions of people, there's going to be backlash against this super rich area. It is the second highest concentration of wealth in America. 25 hedge fund managers in America make more than all of the kindergarten teachers in America combined. So maybe it's their insane guilt of the wealth that they have that's making them freak out.
Apparently in Silicon Valley, if you mention buying a home in New Zealand or even just going on vacation to New Zealand, it's a secret nod that you're preparing for the end. New Zealand is pitched as a refuge from the doomsday event. Within just 7 days of Donald Trump becoming president, 13,401 American citizens registered with the New Zealand immigration authorities, which is 17 times higher than the normal rate.
And that brings us to the 4 seasons of surviving the super swanky Survival Project, which is a 15-story complex built in an old missile silo. Each of these apartments that you don't even live in, you only live in them in case things go bad, are $1.5 to $3 million. There's enough food and fuel in these complexes for 5 years. They grow tilapia in fish tanks. They use lights to grow vegetation. There's lots of lighting so people don't get depressed. There's doctors and dentists on site in case something goes wrong. They have armed guards. You can also ask for specific things to be live streamed in your fake underground windows, so you could choose like the Malfi Coast, for example. And lastly, and most importantly, all the units are sold. But not to worry, because clearly this company has tapped into something and they're going to be making more of these around America.
Psychologists agree that this growing trend makes sense. With Trump, natural disasters, North Korea, it can oftentimes feel like the world is sort of out of control, and psychologists agree and believe that this is a chance for people to sort of manifest control back into their own lives. The prepper techniques may also help with stress. Much like after a divorce, it's recommended that you take on small little tasks, clean around the house, because it helps you focus on something else and deal with the stress. And so in this case where the news is crazy and there's a lot going on, prepping for the survival of your future is a way to help deal with that stress.
Personally, it feels very selfish to think that these Silicon Valley rich elite people are just thinking of ways that they're gonna survive while the rest of us crumble in this messed up world.
And if you look back at history, oftentimes when things are really in a lot of struggle, it's an opportunity to come through and make change and make a better world. And so these people just going back into their own and saving themselves and the people that are rich around them is actually just like anti-progress in every way.
Also, if you have that much money, maybe they're just going insane and they feel so guilty and so scared. If you're richer than all Americans, all other Americans, obviously you're gonna become, I don't know, maybe a little insane and scared.
For the rest of us in the meantime, here's a little tip. 1 whistleblow means where are you, 2 means come to me, and 3 means I need help.
If you're super rich, maybe go buy a luxury condo. For the rest of us, we hope you enjoyed the video. I mean, don't freak out, or maybe freak out, who knows. We love you all. Subscribe, follow us on social media.
We'll see you next week if we're all still here.
Peace.